makes hardscape easy. Find a huge supply of styles and colors at their 6 locations and ask about contractor referrals. RCP Block, your number one source for hardscape and masonry supplies.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour one of Jon and Jim, second day in a row. Sans Jim. It's good that Jim isn't here because if he was, he doesn't understand what that means. Without Jim, he's out at Torrey Pines playing golf after yesterday being out somewhere playing golf. Tomorrow, his rehearsal dinner. Saturday, his wedding. We've got it covered. We got you covered. We're going to break down a really good trip for the Padres over the next 3 hours. John Nolan, by the way, who's a good voice on the system for San Diego. They're farmhands. He's the voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. We'll catch up with John Nolan at 3:30. I mentioned it with Darren there during the Fusion. Gloria Nevarez, who has been the Mountain West commissioner for the better part of, I think, about a year at this point, maybe a little more. Gloria Nevarez will join us at 4:30. We'll talk about the current state of college athletics, what it means for the Mountain West and San Diego State. And we're going to hear from Mike Shildt because that's what we do, right? After morning or afternoon games, what we do on Jon and Jim, as you know, is we'll hear from Mike Shildt, and I haven't yet heard what he had to say about this game, but we will coming up in the next handful of minutes. Let me just start here.
Oh, my gosh.
He may have said that. A 5-2 trip is a darn good trip. This is a 17-10 road team. They're a complete night and day team. On the road, 17-10 is as good as it gets. At home, 10-16 as bad as it gets. Essentially. Can they fix that? We'll discuss, right? We'll figure that out when they get back home. They have the Yankees coming up tomorrow night. We'll be downtown. Naughty Barrel. Join us. Darren Smith show. Jon and Jim tomorrow beginning at noon. And we'll get you ready for that. But you go 5-2, and there are no complaints about that. There's nothing negative you can say. And this speaks to our general conversation about the Padres over the better part, I'd say, of the last few weeks. You know, they win another series. They've won 6 of 7. And all the trend lines are encouraging and positive. Yes, you lost Xander Bogaerts. But again, on field, you've got a lot of encouraging trends. You've won 6 of 7 series. The only thing that's a little atypical is there's somehow only one game over 500. But when you look at the National League, it's not a bad spot to be in. They played 1/3 of their games after tomorrow night. They played 1/3 of their games, and they're not in a bad spot. They're either going to be 2 games over 500 or a 500 team after playing the opener against the New York Yankees tomorrow. Here are the things you have to love if you're a Padres fan. Manny Machado had a really good trip. We've talked about the big 3. Unfortunately, it's down to the big 2 because of Bogey. And Manny, for whatever reason, is comfortable and providing some big hits for this team. And we've seen it before. And hopefully we'll see it again. And when he gets going, it can look good for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And right now he's going at the plate. And then Luis Arraez. And by the way, Fernando Tatis Jr. had the big hit, arguably, of the game in the 10th inning. Run-scoring double that gave the Padres a lead. I was about to call them the Iron Pigs for whatever reason. And so Fernando Tatis Jr. had the big hit. Manny Machado had a big hit. And it's a great trip overall. The other thing is what Luis Arraez is doing right now, guys, it is not normal. We knew he was a great modern-day for-average hitter. Not an average hitter, but hits for average, right? As good as anyone really in baseball. 2-time champion in terms of being a hit king. He's trying to win a batting title with a 3rd team. No one's ever done it in the history of baseball. And when I read this tweet earlier today from Ryan Spader, who covers baseball and is like an analytics guy, I almost did like a double take with it because I was like, I mean, this is really fascinating stuff because it was one thing to say when they made the trade that, you know, Luis Arraez is the modern day Tony Gwynn. And you have to really pause and be measured when you say something like that. Tony Gwynn, what he's meant, not just to the city, but the sport, and to hit 338 for his career and to have like, you know, all the unbelievable gaudy numbers that he had. Yeah, Luis Arraez has been great, but has he really been Tony Gwynn? He's only 27 years of age. You get the point. You got to be very cautious making comparisons to Tony Gwynn. But I think some of it is reasonable and fair. He's hitting .419 in a Padres uniform. I know it's 17 games. It doesn't make a year. It doesn't make a career. He's hitting .419 in 17 games. He's hitting .341 now on the year. This is the part that really got to me. He's had 8 consecutive multi-hit games. Tony Gwynn's career best streak for multi-hit games is also 8. Tony Gwynn never had a 9-game stretch in his career with 2 or more hits. Now, it's an amazing number to get to 8 consecutive games with 2 or more hits. Here's the other thing. Arraez in his 8 games has 21 hits, 21 combined hits. The most hits in Tony's career in an 8-game stretch, 20. Now, again, it's just a small slice, sliver, subsection of a season or a career. But that's unbelievably impressive. Now, any one player could have a good 8-game stretch. Anyone. Literally any player could have, I guess, a 20-hit 8-game stretch, right? It's possible. Guys have had amazing weeks. Luis Arraez, of course, is a much higher caliber player than just a guy that's had a good week. Just like Tony Gwynn was a much higher caliber player than just a guy that had a good week or a good month or a good year. Obviously, he put together his entire career. But we're talking about stuff that just doesn't happen. Back-to-back 4-hit games don't happen in any era of Major League Baseball. Luis Arraez has never had back-to-back 4-hit games in his career, and he's done it the last 2 days in Cincinnati. So it's just incredible stuff going on, and the Padres are winning games on the road, and now they need to take that formula, whatever it is, maybe have road fans in the building, maybe play in front of 10,000 people like a Great American Ballpark as opposed to 44,000 like we'll see tomorrow with the Yankees in town.
That's the secret. Nobody show up this weekend.
Everyone wear pinstripes. Okay, tomorrow, everyone boo the Padres when they take the field tomorrow night. No, seriously, I mean, what an amazing opportunity for Padres fans this weekend against the 35-17 New York Yankees. Like, that's not every year. The Yankees are only coming here every other year in the universal schedule. And Juan Soto is coming back to San Diego. What type of ovation is he going to receive? My guess would be not an overly favorable one from Padres fans, but all's well that ends well on the road. A 5-2 trip. We have the entirety, don't we, Brent, of Mike Shildt postgame? Let's play that here. I haven't heard this as of yet. Padres win in extras over the Reds. By the way, they're undefeated in extras this year. Started 0-12 last year in extra innings. They've won their 2 extra inning games this season. Here's Mike Shildt postgame as the Padres win in 10-6-4.
Clutch hitting by, I guess, the bunt, Tatis's hit. What'd you make of the 10th?
There's a lot to unpack. We'll start with the 10th. I mean, I just love Arraez, bringing it with him. This guy's got 3 knocks on the day, swinging the bat well, and just looking to make a good baseball play. And was rewarded by being able to beat it out. And then Toddy just staying with it. He's had some good swings like we alluded to yesterday. A couple more good swings a day. Doesn't get discouraged and, ropes that ball down the left field line. So that was clearly huge to get Campy in. And Jake did enough in the sac fly. Arraez a nice read on the ball as well. And of course, Suarez brought it home. So a lot of good things, a lot of good team baseball.
Jeremiah Estrada, how much better is he pitching? And I also wonder, you kept him in there for that second inning, and I wonder when all that went into the decision to have him go back out for the 9th.
Couple things, first of all, he did a great job to finish the 8th. That was fantastic. He's one of our fresher guys right now. He was efficient for the 8th. We like the matchups for the 9th. We couldn't take him but so far, but ball's coming out really good. He's commanding the baseball with this kind of stuff. That's a great recipe for us. So just rode with him through the 9th, and he rewarded us.
It's hard to come up with ways to describe Arraez at this point. I mean, it's almost surprising, when he doesn't get on base. But what can you say just about his just this road trip, really? But just since he's joined you guys, what he's been.
It's really hard to capture because it's so many positives, right? I mean, this guy's been tremendous. He's just taking great at bats the whole time, and he's prepared, and comes right in, and I don't know how much history he's got with Mole there in the 10th, but he comes in and sits right down, and he's just dissected him on the iPad, and you just see him. He's a genius, man. He just can. He's got this great talent that's coupled with high baseball IQ, with great focus, and a great approach, and then great physical hand-eye talent. It's just like a perfect blend of a guy that knows what he's doing with the bat in his hand.
I mean, just to put a bunt down at that moment, he probably felt like I'm going to get on base. So this is even going to work for me now. He seems to be so locked in.
Yeah, he's super locked in. That's right. He dissected everything that was out in the field, and this is what the situation calls for, and couldn't have rolled it out much better.
Mike, the double steal attempt, is that the first time that you guys have thrown down the second?
No, it's not the first time. We actually, there's a lot of variables that go into it. I won't get into the details, but it's a big play in the game. There's 3 defensive plays I want to recognize in the game, that being the first one, because it gets an out and basically, takes a run off the board. So give Higgy a lot of credit. Give a really nice throw to Kimmy right there, and he's able to transfer it into another accurate throw to the plate. And then Kimmy's double play ball, that little short hop in the third, that was a big play. I'm sure we'll get to Matt Waldron, but he settled down. But that was a nice little, okay, I'm going to catch a short hop, turn the double play, get 2 outs for 1. And then Manny's play in the 5th. I mean, that's a big play. You look back at it, we took a run off the board in the first with a nice executed defensive play. And then Manny in the 5th, we got, the infield back. We got the lead. You got a guy like De La Cruz. Manny's playing in a little bit, reads it, and just makes a nice throw. Made it look easy, but not an easy play, especially with the runner. So, just a really good baseball play to help us win.
He makes everything kind of look easy. He's just so smooth, especially in a situation like that. That one that shows up kind of the difference between him and most third basemen. I mean, that was just like a throw to first.
It is for me. Because now it's the smoothness, it's the ease of it, but it's also the situation. A high percentage of guys, understandably, field that ball, infields it back. De La Cruz is running and get the out, and he just, nice and easy play, throws it home, but made it look easy. Clearly not, but a high baseball IQ play, being a big play in the game. Let's don't forget Jackson's bunt. Jackson's bunt helped us get going too, and a lot of good things happened beyond that.
Matt was just behind a lot, kind of, and then was able to grind, but
that was it.
Yeah.
Couldn't command the ball either pitch. Had to come in the zone with some hitters counts. They put some swings on him. I give him a ton of credit though. Because he actually, if you look, and I'm sure you have, but he gets better as the game goes. His numbers are better. I'm sure riding the rail a little bit with it, and early on, but didn't have a ton of bullpen. Didn't have a long guy today. And to his credit, he stepped right up again. Timmy Toe play ball in the 3rd was huge. His ability to grab the 4th and 5th were outstanding as well. And he got better as he went. And again, to his credit, didn't have his best stuff. That's what you look for as a trait in a starting pitcher, is the guy that, doesn't have his best stuff early and figures it out to be able to get you to 5, sometimes 6 innings. And that's huge. And I give him a lot of credit for it. He deserves it.
Hey, what went into Jake moving over? And you've kind of have sort of expressed a preference for kind of situational. Like you like to keep a guy in the same position.
Right.
What will be your plan going forward?
We're going to still see what it looks like. This guy, Crony's won 2 Gold Gloves. And so you look up and you get the news with Bogey and you say, okay, let's step back and look at this thing a little more holistically. And to Jake's credit, he came in and said, look, he's always this way. He's a winning player and a great teammate. He said, I'm willing to go over and play 2nd if that's on your radar. And so we just looked at it, and we'll continue to look at it. But today, that was the best lineup we felt like we could put out there.
Just want to make sure I have it straight. Just when you say that Luis looked at the iPad,
He's going to.
explain
I'm
that?
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, he does it. Guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
They come in and look at the iPad
before
the at-bat, and have create some familiarity with him. I just appreciated the great seat of it right there, and just how you could just tell how intent he was to it. Again, guys do it all across the league, including our club, so he's not an anomaly for that. But it was just like you could just see the math taking place with what he was looking to do with this guy and how he's trying to figure out how he could best compete for the situation. I thought it was highly impressive.
Did you know?
I think he meant he's a 2-time All-Star, not a 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. He's talking about Jake Cronenworth there, moving back to 2nd. He hasn't won a Gold Glove. He has been a multiple-time All-Star. But, listen, what Mike Shildt is saying right now about Luis Arraez is what baseball is saying about him as well. Like, to put it in perspective, and I think that's what I'm trying to do. He plays a big role in a couple of big wins in Cincinnati. Hits a home run yesterday, 4 hits, has the massive drag bunt single to start the 10th inning that scores 2 runs. The Padres have been around for 55 years, roughly, give or take, right? 69. Here are the players that have had 8-game streaks with multiple hits, right? A multi-hit streak of 8 games or more. Gary Sheffield has the record. He did it in 92. He hit 9 consecutive games with multiple hits, right? 9 consecutive games or 2 or more hits. The other players, Tony Gwynn, he did it one time, 1988. The third player, other than Arraez, Manny Machado, during his second in MVP voting season in 2022. There's your list. That's the entirety. Since 69, 4 players have had multiple hits in 8 consecutive games for the Padres. Sheffield in 9, Machado, Gwynn, and now Luis Arraez. It's about so much more than that. I mean, the personal stuff is great. That's all fun and dandy, Brent, but you got to win. And after they lost game 1 to Cincinnati, I'm thinking to myself, and I think Padres fans are thinking this, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat the Dodgers for a series and then take the step back against the Rockies. Beat the Braves for a series and then inexplicably, that's the wrong word. It's baseball. You can lose any game to any team. But they did lose game 1. They were shut out. They didn't look very good, looked a little lackluster, and then they responded. And this thing was another game that they had to deal with adversity. They had a 4-1 lead. All of a sudden, it's 4-4. The Reds have a chance to walk off in the 9th inning. Don't because of Jeremiah Estrada. And the Padres, win a close game, something that they've done here a little more recently. But you got to be, I would think, I know it's Cincinnati, but 3-1 against Atlanta as well. I think Padres fans should be excited about where this team is right now.
I'm encouraged too, because what did we do today? That we struggled to do all of last year.
Win an extra inning game?
Yes.
We're
2-0 in extras this year.
That's good. Yes.
We didn't start out, what was it, 0-11 or 0-13 or whatever it was last year.
0-12.
So I think that's another encouraging sign that, we're 2-0 in extras this year. Just, did we break the record for being awful in extras last year? Or
it was
we tied
the worst
it?
Start in baseball history for any team. I think at 0-12, or maybe tied with like an extras team.
So that's another difference. We keep trying to find the differences between last year's team and this year's team. I think we might have found another difference right there because they're actually coming through in extras.
100%, because I think all Padres fans are looking to find ways to not compare last year's team to this year's team, right? I think a lot of people feel that way, like erase 2023 as quickly as possible. Now, from a sheer record perspective, I don't think we've really gotten to that point yet. Although a year ago, remember, once they went under 500 in May, they didn't go over 500 until they got to 81-80. So think about that. They went from the middle of May, whenever they went under, and then it was uphill, right? Whatever the cliche is, right? Tough sledding, right? All season. And by the time they got going, it was way too late. And they had like a 0.002% chance of making the postseason. And we were joking about it, like September 17th. But they did play well in September. They eventually got over. This team falls under 500 a couple of times. They have. They got swept by the Rockies. They slipped up against the Reds the other day, I think, to fall under 500. Yeah, they were a game under 500 2 days ago. And what they've been able to do is rebound. The 3 out of 4 in Atlanta. The last 2 games against Cincinnati. And I don't know how easy or difficult it's going to be to tread or stay above here. Yankees, really good. One of the best. Best record in the American League. I think maybe the second best record of baseball behind the Phillies right now. Juan Soto's getting an MVP chance everywhere he goes, right? In the Bronx, hitting multiple home runs in games. I'm sure there'll be a ton of Yankee fans here this weekend because they're the New York Yankees. And I know that Juan Soto this weekend is going to be extremely polarizing because there's going to be a lot of love, maybe with Yankees fans, a lot of hate potentially with Padres fans. I don't know what's fair, what's unfair, but you do you. You know what I mean? Just take it all in, enjoy it if you're a Padres fan. But like, this isn't just any other series. This isn't just like, oh, the Yankees are here, they're really good, and we're not really good. But no, Padres are playing well. Yankees have played well. You have the intrigue of Juan Soto. You have a weekend series at Petco Park. And I think there's a lot to look forward to this weekend if you're a Padres fan.
One thing too quick about the Reds, people like to complain about, the home run Polaroid and everything.
Yeah.
Just be happy that we don't have some stupid Flavor Flav Viking helmet that we put on after we hit home runs.
Dude,
like
there's
Cincinnati
some really
did
bad
today.
ones in baseball.
Because I saw that and I was just like, oh my God. I was like, okay, take all the Polaroids you want, guys.
Yes. I mean, first of all, the Padres kind of started the trend, didn't they? With what was the thing that Machado had initially?
He bought that chain.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like $38,000 chain or whatever it was.
And other teams are putting on like sombrero cap, like $5 caps they get at Walmart or whatever.
He started it, I guess, but he just ripped that off from college sports because of the turnover
chain.
That
was going on with the turnover chain. Exactly. All right. John Nolan is the voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. Remember, we talked earlier this week about Ethan Salas, the top prospect in the organization, getting off to a really slow start. Well, he has homered this week. There's a number of, really prized prospects right now in single A Fort Wayne in the Padres organization. We'll get an update with John Nolan on the other side of a break. At 4:30, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, Gloria Navarez, on what this significant settlement in college athletics means for the Mountain West and San Diego State and beyond. But Gloria Navarez will join us at 4:30. We're with you until 6 p.m. We've got a giveaway for you today. Tickets to see the Brothers Osborne at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater May 29th. That's next Wednesday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. But John Nolan, great voice at all things Padres and the voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, joins us next. $1,000 every day this week. Listen for the keyword and enter it at sportsst.com. We're checking in on the Padres system after a really good trip, 5-2, winning today in Cincinnati. We had Tim Haggerty on earlier this week talking some AAA Padres, and John Nolan, kind enough to join us right now, voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. John, we appreciate you taking a few minutes for us here in San Diego. We've been talking recently about Ethan Salas. I saw he homered earlier this week, his first of the year, still hitting right around 200. What has the first part of this season been like so far for Ethan Salas? And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks so much for the chance to join you. And again, you got to remember with Ethan, currently still 17 years old. He actually will finally turn 18 coming up on June 1st. But a 17-year-old here in a league where the average age for a pitcher is 23. So it's still just amazing that he's out here performing as he has. And yeah, you touched on it. Finally got his first homer of the year earlier this week. So he actually comes into tonight really trending up. 5-game hitting streak, batting better than 400. And not only the homer, but a few doubles. I think maybe really encouraging too, seeing him as a left-handed hitter drive the ball to left center field recently. And so he's averaged an RBI a game here of late. Maybe the best tell actually about how advanced he is. For the season, he leads the team in walks and has the highest walk rate on this club, despite being easily the youngest player. Again, not just on this team, but around the league. And again, over the last week or so, he has walked 5 times, only struck out twice. I mean, in this day and age, there's hardly anyone who's walking more than striking out, let alone for someone this young. Hey, on top of that, remember, as a catcher, most importantly, doing a heck of a job here in managing the pitching staff. Just always praised by his teammates for being a great teammate. And to give you some insight, guys, I've been fortunate to be here for a while, and so many top prospects have come through Fort Wayne. And over the years, some have, faced sort of adversity on the field for maybe the first time in their careers, because whether they're coming out of college or high school or in a case like this internationally, they pretty much dominated since they were on a baseball field. And so now they get humbled here a little bit. And over the years, kind of understandably, I've come across some prospects who, really struggle with that. And honestly, it's kind of awkward to be around them because they're so hard on themselves and they're so down, and it's just kind of a negative energy. And not to say that Ethan is by any means laughed off any of the struggles, but I really appreciate just the way that he's carried himself and not letting that affect the way that, he conducts himself. He's still a friendly guy who says, hi when you see him. And again, just one of the guys here on this team. Maybe he had the biggest signing bonus of anyone in the clubhouse, but really just humble, down to earth. And really exciting to see it kind of click. Our manager put it well the other day. Yeah, Ethan's been putting in the work, and finally now it's kind of showing on the field a nice, well-earned reward for him.
What's been the organization's strategy with him in terms of how often he's catching and DHing?
Yeah, great question. So for the most part, of course, also when you talk about his season, I think we talked about this last time, but keep in mind playing in the Midwest, this was the wettest, rainiest April in Fort Wayne, Indiana's history, and the same for a lot of cities around the Midwest League. So, and not to mention cold, some games in the 40s, maybe feeling like in the 30s there in April. So, over the years, a guy like Tatis actually really struggled his first month here. And now all of a sudden we've got almost San Diego kind of weather here, 75, 80 degrees here in May. It's beautiful. So for the most part, though, he has alternated day to day between catching and DHing. And then has typically had the Sunday afternoon game off after catching Saturday night. So most of the time in the lineup, 5 days a week, catching 3 times.
John Nolan is the voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. He's with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So, John, I just looked at the numbers. Obviously, one of the top pitching prospects in the organization is Dylan Lesko. I see in 7 starts, he's got a 7.5 ERA. Take us more inside what's going on with Lesko and where he is right now.
Yeah, and not a coincidence that all of Lesko's starts, Salas has been the catcher because, that is a battery that projects to be at Petco Park in the next few years or so, and hopefully for a long time. So those guys are actually roommates here and build chemistry on and off the field. Yeah, certainly that ERA is something that doesn't tell the full story with Dylan and the potential and the stuff, frankly, that he has. And recall first round pick 2 years ago, but coming off of Tommy John surgery in high school near Atlanta. And so while he is fully healthy here, there's still just been the process of kind of shaking off some of the rust and making sure to refine the command This past week, though, he's coming off of his best start of the season, career or season highs, and at this point for him early on here, really career highs and innings pitched and pitches thrown and strikeouts. So coming off of a good one and looking to build off that coming up on Saturday. Actually, a quick little mention on Saturday, the Fort Wayne game here will be the featured game for free on MILB.com and MLB.com for all of minor league baseball. So that'll be scheduled to be Lesko on the mound, Salas catching. So a good chance if you got an extra screen to put up some minor league baseball on Saturday evening. That's a 3:35 start for you guys out in San Diego. But yeah, for Lesko, just trying to improve the command, because most of his issues, he's had some starts where he's been literally unhittable, but he's walked guys, he's hit guys. But yeah, last time out in the bullpen leading up to it, working with the Padres pitching development staff, some mechanical tweaks. And so hopefully that's got things on the right track here going ahead.
I wouldn't think, based on what's transpired early in the season, that a youngster like Salas or even a guy that's pitching professionally early in his career like Lesko are necessarily candidates for midseason promotions. But is there a name or two right now in Fort Wayne that would be viable candidates to potentially move up to Double A at some point, maybe in June?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I don't necessarily try to get in the heads of the decision makers here with what they're looking at, but not as much right now with the complexion of the roster here in terms of guys who are projected to be really quick risers, because I think some of these prospects are on the younger side or less experienced side. But just to throw another name out there, someone for fans to follow along with from afar, the Padres have a 20-year-old righty reliever from Venezuela named Bradley Rodriguez, who's now appearing on those MLB.com and Baseball America prospect lists. Hadn't really had much experience prior to this year due to injury, but he has thrown 100 miles an hour. Better yet, lately we've seen him really develop his secondary pitches, a slider and a changeup too. So I think if you look at his season ERA here, he started with Single A Lake Elsinore, got promoted up here to High A Fort Wayne. His first couple or few outings were rocky, but now he's got 6 consecutive scoreless outings. And of course, for the reliever, it takes some time to lower that ERA. But Rodriguez is a guy who, I think definitely projects to be one to move up the system here in the next couple of years, but not necessarily an imminent promotion to Double A San Antonio.
John, before you go, Jackson Merrill, amazingly started last year in Fort Wayne, and I think got off to a slow start before getting going. What are your impressions of what he's doing a year later now in the big leagues?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing, because you're exactly right. And similar to what we were talking about with Salas and overall the stats, not where you thought they were going to be perhaps to start the year. But for Merrill, as I think fans have seen, he's confident. And so he was not someone who doubted himself here either. But it's cool to see just the physical maturation, which you would expect for a guy who started this season at 20 years old, now 21. So seeing more of that power on display that we didn't necessarily see just a year ago. So kind of cool to see that quick ascension. And, not to mention he was a shortstop here. So the fact that he has filled in, and not just filled in, but now established himself in center field for the Padres is amazing. But big fan of Jackson. I saw on social media actually when Salas hit his homer the other day, Jackson was pumping him up, celebrating the video of that. So a guy who still, doesn't forget that he was in this spot a year ago and is pulling for some of these prospects to come join him in not too long.
John, I always appreciate it, man. Thanks for doing it. I hope we can catch up at some point, maybe in the middle of the year, at some point next month in June. And thanks for hopping on here in San Diego.
Yeah, Caps are hot here. They've won 7 in a row. So hopefully we continue to have some good news on prospects trending up.
Absolutely. All right. Great stuff. John Nolan, longtime voice of the Padres Single A affiliate. All right. We'll get back to today's win in Cincinnati on the other side. Plus, looking ahead to tomorrow night, what type of ovation are you giving Juan Soto? Padres fans. At 4:30, Gloria Nevarez joins the show, commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Brothers Osborne at the Calcoast Credit Union Amphitheater next Wednesday night. Stay with us on Jon Jim. All right, so we all know the feeling well. You're hungry, you're tired, it's late in the day like now. You're looking for something that's maybe healthy, that's going to curb your hunger, but you want to eliminate the vending machine and you don't want to eat unhealthy. Consider Almond RX packs. They are a game changer for you. Can be a game changer for your family as well. I love them. My wife loves them. Our 5-year-old son has them on his way to preschool as well. Eliminate the vending machine from your day. Eat healthier. Get your daily immunity boost and vitamin D. It's not just healthy, but it's tasty and it curbs hunger. And it's the first and only skinless almond fortified with vitamin D. That's right. You're going to get your daily serving of 23 almonds. Founded by a San Diego sports medicine physician, Almond RX has all the nutrients you could possibly need in a snack, supporting your heart health, cellular health, and gut health as well. Best of all, you can find them right here in San Diego County. They're available at any Foodland in San Diego. Up in North County, Harvest Ranch has them in Encinitas, or go to almondrx.com. That's ALMONDRX.com. In fact, if you go there right now, you're going to get free shipping on your order of $25 or more. You heard me right. Free shipping on your order right now at almondrx.com. Orders of $25 or more. You're going to love them. Your family's going to love them. It curbs hunger, and it's perfect for the on-the-go lifestyle. Of the Mountain West Conference, you will join us there on Jon and Jim at 4:30. There's a lot to discuss. This settlement could change college sports. How? Let's get into some of that with Gloria Navarro, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. What does it mean for schools like San Diego State, others around FBS, football, basketball, and more? Gloria Navarro is joining us at 4:30. Also, next hour, your chance to win tickets to see the Brothers Osborne at the Calcoast Credit Union Amphitheater. This is next Wednesday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Here's my question for Padres fans. Would love to hear from you. 877-767-4760, or you can text us 70470. Start it with team. Again, 877-767-4760, or text us. Start your message 70470, or text 70470. Start your message with the word team. What type of reception is Juan Soto going to get tomorrow night, Padres fans? What type of reception are you giving Juan Soto tomorrow if you're going to the game? My guess is it'll be mixed. Why do I say that? Well, you'll have a mixed crowd. You'll have thousands, tens of thousands of Padres fans. You'll have thousands. I don't know exactly how many, but a weekend series of 35-17 New York Yankee team. You'll have thousands of Yankees fans at Petco Park as well. So will it be, a combination of some booing and cheering? Will it be apathetic? Will it be loud? Will it be quiet? I mean, I could make an argument for all types of reactions. What I would say here, and I want to hear what you have to say, Brent. What I would say is the circumstances around Juan Soto being traded was not Juan Soto saying, hey, I want to be traded. I mean, we didn't hear that, at least publicly. Now, maybe behind the scenes, there was some, something to it. Maybe there was some type of plea for Soto to leave San Diego. We haven't necessarily heard that. The trade of Juan Soto is something that made sense for the Padres organization. You had the passing of Peter Seidler. You had a payroll that was coming down. You had multiple holes that the team needed to fill that they were unable to fill if they didn't move Soto. So I don't pin the whole saga solely on Juan Soto, but I understand if Padres fans aren't overly enamored with the full, year and a quarter, year and a half that they had with Juan Soto overall in the Padres uniform. I do understand that as well. So what do you think, Brian?
I agree. I think it's going to be mixed. I also agree. It's not like he was here the whole time. Like, man, this place sucks. I hate everybody here. It's like, get me out of here. Right. I want to be on the East Coast. I hate it here. He just got traded and he went with it. So I think that's part of a factor. I think the fact that he's just killing it right now is a factor too. If he came in here this weekend and he was hitting 260 and he had 6 home runs or whatever, I think people wouldn't boo him as much because they won't be as pissed off that we traded him. But just since he's raking, now they're mad because, why didn't he do that when he was here, and boo. And so I think it's going to be mixed because, like you said, it's not necessarily, at least as far as we know, his fault that he got traded. It was just something that happened. And, it's not like he was flipping the double bird to the fans and everything else. But so I think it's going to be mixed because there's going to be some people that are still going to be mad that he underperformed when he was here. And, why are you doing this in New York when you didn't do it here? And so I think it'll be mixed.
It'll be fascinating to watch him make that jaunt to right field in a Yankees uniform. Now, we saw it, of course, for a limited time here in a Padres uniform. And this was who could have predicted this? We did. That he would have an MVP caliber year. Now, this isn't yet a year. We're still in May, but the updated numbers, including today, a shutout win over the Mariners. He's hit .312. His on-base percentage is .409. His on-base plus slugging is well higher than his career average. It's .972. So he's played like an MVP for a team that's been the best team in the American League, and now he's coming back to Petco. And the way I would describe his year and a half is, I don't know, somewhat like roller coaster or tumultuous. There were good moments, but I don't think there were a ton of defining moments. He had some postseason moments in 2022. Again, maybe not end all be all the reason why they won or lost a game, but he had some hits, whether it was against the Mets, he had a moment or two, the Dodgers, I think, to add on. He hit a home run or two in Philadelphia as well. So it's not like he had, just hollow numbers in the postseason in 2022. And then we know what happened when he got here in 2022. He just didn't hit really for those 60 games. And then in 2023, he did perform for a team that didn't perform. Like, again, there weren't marquee moments and people asked for more, which I think is fair and understandable. But I think more of the blame is really on the struggles of the team as opposed to the accomplishments or lack thereof, I guess, argumentatively, of Juan Soto.
I think you'll get boos too from the people that blamed everything that went wrong with his team last year on Soto, to where, it was all his fault. He walked too much, and he was the secret clubhouse cancer, and just, he was just tearing the team apart from the inside. And so I think some of the people that believe that, they're gonna probably boo every single at bat. But I think for the most part, the worst of it's gonna be his first at bat.
You're probably right. And maybe each of the 3 days, because you'll have a different crowd in there each night. So maybe there'll be the most reaction probably comes with this first day, be Friday, then Saturday, then Sunday. It's interesting. I mean, maybe this thing has worked out well for both sides. Clearly, the Yankees have played well. They haven't been in a World Series in 15 years. And the Padres, I think, objectively speaking, probably are in better standing, so to speak, today than they were a year ago today. There's not a huge difference, but arguably maybe everyone is going to be fine in their current construct.
It's kind of funny because I see people in the YouTube chat talking about if he's going to do that, shuffle thing that he does when he doesn't swing at the ball, to where, they don't want him to do it and they don't like it. It kind of reminds me of that part from a Major League 2 when the one guy, he would do like the shimmy when he come up to bat, and Euchre's like, oh, Parkman's doing that shimmy that everybody loves. But then when they traded him to the other team and he comes up, he's like, oh, he's doing that shimmy
Everyone
that makes
hates.
everyone want to puke.
Yeah,
and it's just like, this is the same thing with the Soto shuffle.
That is such a good call, and that is 100% right. All right. How are you going to react if you're going to Petco Park this weekend when Juan Soto comes to the plate? I'm excited for the series. We'll be downtown tomorrow. Darren Smith show beginning at noon. Jon and Jim tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. It's actually myself and John Quintero, the coach. Jon and John tomorrow from 3 to 6 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hopefully you can join us. John Square. Forget about Jim. Wally Pipp situation. Join us, Naughty Barrel, tomorrow beginning at noon to 6. We've got you covered.
We'll see you at the Drew Bledsoe wedding on Saturday.
And Yankees. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap at 4:30. The Mountain West Commissioner, Gloria Navarez, joins the show. Also, next hour, in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Brothers Osborne at the Calcoast Credit Union Amphitheater. This is next Wednesday night, but we'll kick off hour 2 of Jon and Jim. That's next.
today 6-4 in extra innings to take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati. Next up for the Padres is Juan Soto and the New York Yankees this weekend. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred says robot home plate umpires are unlikely for 2025. Manfred said today that we still have some technical issues and we haven't made as much progress in the minor leagues this year as we sort of hoped for at this point. Major League Baseball has been experimenting with the automated ball strike system in the minors since 2019. Last night, Dallas held on to beat Minnesota 108-105 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Game 2 is tomorrow night. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and Pacers starts tonight at 5. The Celtics have a 1-0 series lead. And despite the franchise's first berth in the Eastern Conference semifinals in 6 seasons, the Cleveland Cavaliers fired head coach J.B. Bickerstaff this morning. Spring in now to Toyota Carlsbad and save on over 850 new and used Toyotas with the new Toyotas arriving daily. Shop and save on Toyota Carlsbad's great inventory at toyotacarlsbad.com. Toyota Carlsbad, the most relaxed and friendly place for over 50 years.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We're with you until 6 p.m. here tonight. We've got a great giveaway for you this hour, a chance to win tickets to see the Brothers Osborne at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll give those away this hour. And the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference for college sports fans, for San Diego State fans, the commissioner, Gloria Navarez, who's been in the job for I don't know, a year plus maybe at this point, navigating everything that's going on in college athletics. She'll join us coming up at 4:30.
And at 4:45, we're going to do Jim Russell wedding prop bets.
See, I love this. So like an example being like, will Jim sneeze during the wedding ceremony?
And what's the over-under on the amount of times he will sneeze and stuff like that. So
I like it.
Text line, YouTube chat, even calls. You know, we're looking for some Jim Russell wedding prop bets.
Yeah, I love that. If you have a prop bet idea for Jim Russell's wedding, 70470, start your message with team, or you can put it in the chat on YouTube, or you can call us, like Brent just said, 877-767-4760. We continue to react to a Padres series win, successful road trip over the Reds and Braves. They win a series in Atlanta, 3-1. They win a series over Cincinnati that ended today 2-1, winning an extra innings here today, building a lead, giving it up, but still having the resiliency to find a way to win in 10 innings. So if you missed Mike Shildt earlier, we'll play some of that for you as well coming up at 5 p.m. What do we have, Brent?
There's some guy on the line. He claims he works here.
Okay, let me hear who this is. All right, whoever this is, you're on with Jon and Jim. Who is this?
What are these prop bets you speak of?
Okay, first of all, I thought you were playing golf. If you have time to call in, where are you?
I am driving right now to go get a haircut. Just finished golf. You're welcome.
Okay, a couple of things. I have 4 or 5 written down right now. Would you like to hear some of the prop bets?
Yes. I
Okay.
need to hear these prop bets.
Okay, this is Jim, by the way.
Hi.
And I need to hear about your round of golf, or however many rounds you've played since you left us.
You don't care about my round of golf, nor does anybody listening.
Well, I want to know if you
about my round of golf.
did you legitimately like play well, or did you shoot you were at Torrey Pines? There's no way you played that well.
I legitimately played well for my standards,
Which means
which is not saying much. I shot at 83. Okay, there you go.
83, like literally 83, or like you picked the ball up as it rolled around the hole, and you're like, forget this.
Like I literally shot an 83.
All right, I'm going to I need to talk to whoever else is in that foursome.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Here are the prop bets that we have listed. All right. And again, you could argue if we should have like an over-under, like Brent said, but just we'll determine a number in a moment. Will Jim sneeze during the actual ceremony? I think it's a reasonable question. Like we could put the over-under at 0.5 sneezes. Okay. Will Jim cry during the actual ceremony? I think you put it at 0.5. I don't know if you'd cry multiple times. It's just if you cry, the over hits, right?
Okay.
I just wrote down, will Jim stumble over his words multiple times during his vows?
I hate you guys.
We'll probably do one for like the length of the vows, like they do the length of the national
definitely.
anthem.
Yes. Yes. We'll determine a time, maybe 3 minutes and 34 seconds or something.
Maybe whose vows will be longer.
Yes. Definitely Aaron's. I think.
Yeah.
Jim's going to race through them. I have one that I just wrote down as well. Will the temperature top 64 degrees in Oceanside on Saturday?
I hope not.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Yeah. Do you have any that you'd like to add? Will you take allergy medication at any point on Saturday? Over under a half pill?
Take the over, guaranteed. What? Make a fool of. I don't know, man. I think those are all pretty solid prop bets because right now I can guarantee you the stumbling over my words is definitely going to hit for sure.
100%.
Yeah, there's no. Even though I've practiced my vows at least like 10 times, I will 100% stumble over my vows. I thought a good one would be like over under 1.5 jokes made about Jim by you at the altar.
I mean, I could already tell you it's going to hit. I think I have a couple.
Well, you can do it, but what the listener doesn't know.
Well, now they do. Yeah, I think the over is going to hit, but I do like that. Okay, so wait.
From the text line, we got Jim will cry minus 200.
100. Yeah. It's a heavy favorite.
Minus 1,000 on that one. Like literally, whatever the biggest yes on that one is, that will hit for sure.
I just can't cry because if you guys are bawling, I need to keep this thing together.
Well, see, that's another one. Will John cry?
Oh God, if I cry, it's because it's tears of like, get me, like, save me. How am I crying at Jim's wedding? This is the last thing that should be happening.
How about this one? Will John and Jim both start laughing up at the altar?
I like that. Yes. Will John and or Jim laugh at some point during the ceremony? Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Because you told me, you're like, bro, if you make eye contact with me and you start laughing, then I will lose it.
Okay, so what's the plan here, dude? You're T-minus 48 hours from being married, right? Around 4 o'clock on Saturday, right? 4:30?
We are exactly 48 hours away. Yeah, 48 hours away.
So what's the plan for the next you have a rehearsal dinner tomorrow night. You've got a wedding on Saturday. What do you need to get accomplished? Apparently not very much because you've been playing golf. But what do you have to get accomplished between now and tomorrow night?
Well, one, I got to get a haircut, which is very important. And then pretty much that's it. We got the walkthrough tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah, I got to be there, right?
Yes, you have to be there.
I need to tell you something that I said on air yesterday. I basically lied to you yesterday. Let me explain why. Okay? I didn't want to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. You must not have heard this on air yesterday.
Well, here's the thing, John. So my stepbrother, who listens to our show on YouTube every day and watches us, he told me what you said. He's like, yeah, by the way, John didn't try on his pants.
I tried them on one time. Then the tailor came up to me, marked the pant, added 1.5 inches, and then she put him back in the bag.
And you didn't try him back on?
No, I'm very trustworthy. What's the worst thing that happens? I look like Ronald McDonald or something?
Yes, that you show up the day of the wedding, you put them on, and they're either like past your feet, where you're going to be like walking on your pants.
Hey, you look like Steve Urkel.
Okay, I'm going to try them on tonight because I told Kristen. Kristen's like, you should have tried them on. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's just so annoying. I'm like, sometimes you got to live a little. You got to risk it. I'm like, I'll try it on today, which I haven't done as of yet, but I'll try them on tonight. And if there's any issue, I'll go back in there tomorrow.
I tell you what, one of the hardest, most difficult things about this wedding has been getting all of my groomsmen to try on their freaking suits.
Dude, guys don't like trying stuff on.
Jim, that's the thing.
You're not the only one, so you should feel okay. It's like herding cattle. It's
getting guys to do things they don't want to do is very hard to accomplish.
Well, here's the thing,
dude. I will buy something, take it home, go, oh, it doesn't fit, and then take it back to the store instead of just trying it on for 2 minutes at the store, knowing it will fit.
I'm the same way. What do you got, Jim?
Well, if I didn't make everybody try their stuff on, then your pants wouldn't have fit. My dad's jacket doesn't fit, and Aaron's dad jacket doesn't fit either. So,
dude, you should have seen these. I sent you a photo of the pants. Like the pant was a good foot. When I sat down, you could see a foot of my leg. 100%
complete. Yeah.
But they're like, well, are you going to be standing or sitting during the wedding? I'm like, what kind of question is that? I mean, I'm like, both?
I don't care.
Both.
He's gonna take a knee.
Yeah, it's like most pants. Sometimes I stand while wearing them, and other times I sit while wearing them. They have to be functional in both, both areas.
Exactly.
Dude, here's the other thing I didn't tell you. I'm like, you saw, I sent you a photo of me in this tux, and I thought it looks relatively good.
You posted it on Instagram.
I did. That's right. I asked Krista, I'm like, can I post this on Instagram? She's like, why not? It's you in a tuxedo. It's not your wedding dress. I'm like, all right, fair point.
Okay.
So then I asked the woman that, like, I don't know, oversaw my order. What was, not the tailor, but like I don't even know. The person at Men's Warehouse that works there.
Yeah, there you go.
I said, should I try on the vest? She's like, no. It'll fit.
Oh my gosh, dude. So you basically tried on nothing.
Nothing.
And you're just like praying that the day of it fits all together.
Dude, how mad are you?
I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset because I've told you 100 times you got to try on everything. And I know you, and you like things to fit a particular way.
I do.
And if it doesn't fit you, you're gonna bitch.
I will cry the whole wedding.
Yes, you would. Like, the suit, I can't. I don't know what
I can't deal with this.
And then you'll tell me I'm such an idiot. I should have tried on the suit, and I'll be like, yeah, you should have tried it on, you idiot.
That's spot on. I will try it tonight. I will. I'm gonna put it's a lie. You saw the buttons. You got to change out the buttons or whatever. I mean, I'm kind of trusting the process.
Here's the thing. You have until 2 p.m. tomorrow to make any alterations. And if after 2 p.m. you still have not tried on your suit and it does not fit, you are SOL, buddy.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? I mean, you have until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
What's at 2 p.m. tomorrow?
That's the cutoff for them to tailor or fix your suit.
Oh, I got plenty of time. Perfect. I have till 2 o'clock tomorrow? I got plenty of time.
I should have.
By the way, no.
Can they just come to the Naughty Barrel and do alterations there?
Real quick, yeah. By the way, did you invite Coach? Because it's gonna get awkward because Coach is joining me tomorrow.
Oh, must be nice.
Yeah,
the John and Coach show.
Yeah, so you're probably good for you. Take as much time as you need next week.
Is this my like? Oh, by the way, you're fired kind of moment? Like, hey, Coach is taking over here.
Talk to Mary. I don't know. that's not my
fired is really aggressive. They like to say dismissed now.
Okay, so no, real quick before you go. Tomorrow I got to be in Oceanside at 10:45 in the morning for this rehearsal walkthrough. I don't need to wear anything nice for that, right?
Did you say 10:45?
That's what you told me.
No, buddy. I told you 10 a.m. 10 a.m.
This whole thing, this wedding is really this is 10 a.m.
Now I understand when Aaron tells me that I don't listen. It's the exact same thing with you when you don't listen because I've told you 10 a.m. 10 times.
Oh my gosh. I'm seriously so stressed out about this wedding.
And is on the invitation. So
yeah, but I think I threw it out.
Of course you did. You didn't even look at it.
Right. Okay, I'll be there 10 a.m. Send me the address again. But I'll be there at 10 a.m. And I'm just gonna be wearing like jeans for that.
Fine, whatever.
So George,
bring your book. Bring your book. If you don't bring your book, then you're gonna get in trouble.
I'll bring the book, but I have Chris. I'll bring the book, but don't worry. Everything's gonna be good to go by Saturday. Don't you worry. You know me.
You have to make sure everything's in the book. They told me to tell you everything needs to be in the book, ready to go
by Friday.
By tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Oh Lord. I'm not going to sleep tonight. The book will be ready to go. Oh, you have me stressed out for this wedding.
This is an S show. Bye.
All right, later. All right, that's Jim Russell. He is so mad. He's like, why did I call it? It's good he called because now I learned that I should probably try the tuxedo on again, that I got to see him tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Oh, my gosh.
Live dangerously.
That's the thing, right? Live dangerously. I could always put a hoodie on or something or put on a pair of slacks, dark slacks. Is anyone going to know they're not tux pants if I'm wearing like navy?
Nah.
No one's going to know. Do we have time? We have time for this. Let's get to it, Brian.
We are 100 days out from Aztec football. What are you most looking forward to this season?
Well, this offense, I really am. Sean Lewis obviously coming in, having previously been a head coach at Kent State where he had some brilliant offenses, not just passing, but also rushing, balanced offenses. I thought last year one of the big stories in college football, beyond the presence of Deion Sanders, was Colorado's offense under Shedeur Sanders and, of course, led by Sean Lewis. So I know that's very general and broad, and we don't even know who the quarterback is going to be, but we know he's brought in a lot of skill. And it's hard to say what expectations are. Like, it's unfair, I think, to say, well, they need to win this many games. But I am really looking forward to seeing his offense on the Mesa, Snapdragon Stadium, August 31st. Right here on San Diego Sports 760, the Aztecs 2024 debut, Texas A&M Commerce against San Diego State. So I would say just in general, Brent, I'm thinking you probably feel the same way.
Offense, yes. 100%.
Yeah, now the defense is going to matter. We're going to want to see the defense as well. But
that's one of those things. We've always had a pretty solid defense to where it's, the offense has always been the question mark. So, and for Aztec offense, we've had a lot of hype this offseason. So I'm just kind of curious just to see it in action.
No, I agree with you. Absolutely. All right, let's get to the next question.
Will the Pacers even the Eastern Conference Finals with the Celtics tonight?
I say no. Now, they went down 2-0 to the Knicks and won that series by winning Game 7, so they could still do it. I do think the Celtics are just better from what I saw in Game 1, and you know me, I'm not watching NBA every single night, but Kristen's the biggest Pacers fan ever, so I watched all of Game 1. The Celtics are a very good team, obviously. I just felt like the Pacers wasted a golden opportunity in Game 1. Do they get the same opportunity here tonight, or does Boston kind of reclaim home court and win convincingly? It was right there for the taking, and they didn't take it, and I feel like they're going to regret that for the rest of the series. So I say no. I think Boston wins tonight.
I think they will.
You think they'll even it up?
I said it yesterday. It's been the road teams all this playoffs. Road team won again last night, so I think we're going to see another victory for the road team. I think they'll tie it up.
All right, next question.
Who's going to have a better season, Manny or Fernando?
All right, so what's happened here, I do think this is a pretty interesting question. What's happened is Manny is finally playing like Manny, and it's happened over, let's say, the last week or so, where, again, today's 1 for 5, but he had a huge hit. He had a 2-run double in the first inning, so he's had a couple of impactful hits. I forget what he was. I think he was 7 for 20 over his previous 5 games, so now he's 8 for 25. He's hit it well. He's hitting 330 or whatever over his last 6 or 7 games. He's had the RBIs. He's had some big hits. Fernando Tatis Jr. also had a big hit here today, came in the 10th inning, and he has had a very slow month of May. Here's what I would say, and I hate to be Jim here, just one of you two, I'm talking about Manny or Toddy, just go run with something. One of you guys have a great final 4 months of the season. I don't care who it is. I don't want to see middling where it's like, oh, this guy hit 260 and this guy hit 255, so I guess technically it was him. One of these two players needs to perform like an all-star the rest of the season, and if that happens, the Padres will be a lot better off for it.
Wouldn't it be amazing if one of these years they both actually hit at the same time?
That would be wonderful.
It's like if that happens, the world would just come to an end or something, because
right.
It's always like one of them's on, the other one's off. There's never like they're both just on fire.
100%. Now 2020,
probably why we're always hovering around 500.
Even 2020, that short year, Tatis had an amazing first 30 games, and Manny had an amazing final 30 games, but they didn't really hit in unison that year either. All right, let's get to our final question.
Will Luis Arraez win a batting title as a Padre?
I got to say yes, just watch this guy hit. Now, this will not be easy this year. Shohei Ohtani's hitting 354. It's so early. Everything can change. I'm not expecting Ohtani to hit 354 for the season, but then again, I don't know if Luis Arraez is going to hit 340 this year either. If the season ended right now, Jurickson Profar is the top 3 hitter in the National League. 2 of your top 3 hitters in the National League are Profar and Arraez, and the other is Shohei Ohtani. I'll bet on Arraez because he's done it previously, and he seems so comfortable right now in a Padres uniform. He's not going to keep this clip up. He's truly hit 400 as a Padre, over 400 in 17 games. I do think if he's able to hit somewhere in that 330 to 340 range for the season, that should be enough. I don't think Ohtani hits 354 for the entire year. And with respectfully, I don't think Jurickson Profar is hitting 340 this season either. So I think the best chance of those 3 to do it, and Ohtani's a great hitter. It's not to discount his ability, but he's not known for, hitting 350. I think of those 3, if there were betting odds, I'd probably bet on Luis Arraez, who's trying to do something no player has ever done, win a batting title, wearing 3 different uniforms in his career. That's crazy. Twins, Fish with the Marlins, and now with the Padres, of course, in 2024. All right, on the other side, coming up in just a handful of minutes, Gloria Nevarez. She is the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. There is a settlement that's looming that's impacting all of college athletics. How so? We'll ask her, what does it mean for the Mountain West? What does it mean for San Diego State? We'll ask her that on the other side. Plus, still to come this hour, we'll give these tickets away, let's say around 4:45 or so. We have a pair of tickets to see the Brothers Osborne. This concert is at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater next Wednesday night, May 29th. By the way, tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. But again, Gloria Nevarez will join us on the other side on the home of the Aztecs. There's a lot to get into. If you have a question for her, by the way, 70470, you can start your message with the word team, plus that ticket giveaway later this hour. Plus, if you missed Mike Shildt off a series win, you'll hear him coming up at 5 p.m. as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. connected with San Diego Sports 760 no matter where you are, whether you're stepping out of your car or settling in at home. Just command your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760. Or use the free iHeart app for seamless listening. It's like having your favorite station right in your pocket. It is our pleasure to welcome back to Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, Gloria Navarez, with us here in San Diego. Commissioner, first of all, thank you for your time, and just generally speaking, never a dull moment, right? We'll get into never dull in college athletics, right?
You couldn't have said it better. I agree. And thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate it. For our listeners, and honestly for me, and I've read up on it, and I think to some extent there is a lot of confusion as it comes to this landmark settlement that's brewing here, this House settlement. In layman's terms, what's the significance of this potential settlement for the NCAA?
I think the most significant thing is that for the next 10 years, it would mitigate the chances of an NIL antitrust lawsuit based on the terms of this current settlement. And this settlement will grab two other outstanding antitrust NIL lawsuits and possibly a fourth, as I understand it.
So the impact of the settlement, presuming or assuming it's completed at some point in the near future, what does it mean specifically for the Mountain West Conference?
Yeah, let me just clarify. I don't have any inside information. We're not a defendant in
Sure.
the lawsuit. So I'm basically, what I've read and what I've heard. So
Sure.
just want to say that. And then what it means for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, everyone's on the hook for some piece of the settlement relative to the percentage of revenue distribution we receive from the NCAA.
So are there ramifications then? As in, the Mountain West didn't have a say in the potential financial ramifications for the conference itself and its member institutions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what will it mean? I mean, I know it's hard to fast forward, but as you look ahead, that type of financial penalty for the members within your conference, including San Diego State, what type of bearing or impact will it have on their athletic departments?
It's not nothing,
Yep.
but it also isn't putting us on the edge of closing our doors. You know what I mean? I think
Sure.
we've budget fiscally conservatively, and we've exceeded our budget expectations year over year. Certainly our teams performing better have offset some of the revenue increases we've had over the past year are helping offset that. So it's not good, but we will survive.
Gloria Navarez is with us right now on San Diego Sports 760, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. Is this a narrative, or is this accurate, that does this type of settlement create more of a gap between power leagues and non-power leagues? Or the gap is obviously has already existed in the structure between power and non-power. Does this widen the gap or not necessarily?
Tough for me to say right now. I mean, the gap was increased during our CFP financial negotiations, where they took a lion's share of the revenue distribution. But I also had heard during that they had anticipated damages or a settlement in the House litigation. So certainly it just went from one pot to another. I think their media agreements certainly contribute to the widening gap. But one of the things that I hope makes it through all of this, if we increase scholarship limits, right? Because right now we have some scholarship limits that don't really attach or have relation to squad sizes, and allow schools to scholarship a full roster, but that is accompanied with roster limits. In other words, say baseball got limited at, I'm picking a number, I haven't making it up, 35. Any school could fully scholarship 35, but student athletes 36, 37, 38 wouldn't be able to play, even if they were fully scholarshiped or fully NIL'd, getting paid somehow. And if the transfer portal showed us anything, it's that student athletes don't like to sit.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? So you'd be spreading out the wealth, so to speak, among student athletes, among institutions potentially with these limits.
Because the greater number of spots, the number of schools have not increased. But if there are roster limits, then that could help us continue to compete in that talent pool.
Makes sense. Gloria Navarro is with us right now, and Jon and Jim. Help me understand some of the reporting I've seen over previous weeks or months about this idea that there's at least a possibility in like a future Group of 5 playoff. But that to me is interesting timing, considering that group of 5 conferences have for a long time hoped for access to the college football playoff, and now the college football playoff has expanded and there is access. So why is there any interest, or is there any interest from any party at the group of 5 level in having a group of 5 playoff as opposed to just an expanded CFP with group of 5 access?
Currently, there's no interest by the Mountain West, and I haven't heard from colleagues, peer colleagues, of a great interest. I think it's been sporadic, or maybe at the institutional level. Certainly, we're always open to innovative new ideas that infuse the system with more, resources. But you articulated the number one argument as to why we would not walk away from the CFP lightly.
Is it your belief the way it's structured? Maybe it's a little bit in the weeds, but it starts this year. Like if there's a team, let's say in the Mountain West, that is the top group of 5 champion, whomever it is, Boise State, San Diego State, whomever, any of the member institutions, would it be your belief that they'll be like, will they automatically be slotted at the back of the playoff? If some team has a remarkable year, they go undefeated, they win the conference championship against another very good team, will they be seated appropriately? Or is there a belief that they'll just be seated in the back of the line, so to speak?
Yeah, no, they will get in, but the seating will, it depends. It's still TBD, and the details have to be ironed out, but I don't think it's automatic they'll be last. If they are ranked somewhere in the top 10 or in the top 5, they should be seated accordingly.
Absolutely. All right, so we found out earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was going to say, we have heard rumors and concepts about some automatic AQs. That would certainly affect seating in the top part of the bracket, but those are just concepts at this point. It still needs to be decided.
So we found out earlier this week, Commissioner, that the Mountain West title game on Fox is going to be like an exclusive window, right? On a Friday evening beginning this fall in 2024. What's the impact? What does that mean for the league?
Everything you just said, a greater exposure for fans and student athletes. I think it's a clear air window, and a high profile platform. We're really, really excited about the opportunity.
Does the breakup of the Pac-12, and I know obviously you have a relationship right now with the Pac-12 with Oregon State and Washington State, but does the breakup of the Pac-12 have any impact on TV windows and TV viewership experiences in the fall of 2024? I know we haven't seen the full TV schedule as of yet. We've just seen bits and pieces, but will television be impacted at all with the lack of a Pac-12 conference, so to speak?
Well, again, think about the inventory hasn't gone anywhere. Those schools are still playing in this time zone. They're just playing for different leagues and now maybe playing for different television partners. So certainly there's an impact. And we're going through the process right now, but I wouldn't say it's statistically dramatic.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think it was, we had you on maybe last year, Football Media Day, and I think you said a year ago that you think about or you meet about realignment essentially every single day. Has that changed over the last 1 year or not?
Less so are the topics about realignment as of late, because as of the CFP ESPN deal, I think that we might have settled that unless something happens with the ACC lawsuits. We may be in for a little bit of stability as far as realignment, but we are constantly looking at who we are, who we want to be, what are those criteria that would trigger a school to be of interest to us and make us stronger, or, how do we look at membership? So while we're not constantly about realignment, we're constantly looking at our size, our membership criteria, and how do we get where we want to be.
Generally speaking, is there maybe more aggressiveness among conferences? Like I look at what the WCC did recently, adding Grand Canyon University and Seattle University, and obviously, non-football institutions, but adding specifically with, basketball as revenue, but other Olympic sports as well. How is that move perceived, and how does that impact the Mountain West, if at all?
Not as much, because as you know, the media dollars and the other income streams orbit a lot around football.
Yep.
And so that's really one of the drivers when we think about how realignment impacts us. And, from what I've seen of the CFP agreements, there is some stability built in there. I don't think there's no room for schools or leagues to increase what they're currently getting from the CFP. Media deals have been locked in. We're actually one of the last collegiate properties to go to market in 26. So by and large, media dollars have stabilized to some degree. So again, maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I think we may be hitting like at least 8 to 10 years of stability.
You mentioned the Mountain West TV deal. Gloria Navarro is with us right now, and Jon and Jim. A couple of more for you, Commissioner. We appreciate your time. You mentioned, Mountain West, its future TV rights and negotiations. How well positioned do you feel the league is? And I know you're still kind of looking into the future, but what do you believe the league's priorities are going to be when it comes to its next TV deal?
That's a little, given our current environment, you can't tell what's happening day to day, but I'm very, very optimistic about not going to market this past year, because as we saw with some other leagues, it was a down point in the market. And then 2, given the success on the field, given our viewership, our fan base is so amazing. They tune in, they show up. Those are the things. And, given all the success we had in men's basketball, our brand is elevating and is, nationally recognizable. And so those are the things that you look at when you want to position before you go to market. And we're trending in the right direction.
And speaking of basketball, like you said, all the successes, men's and women's, 6 teams in men's basketball making the NCAA tournament last year. You've had the Mountain West tournament for years and years and years at the Thomas and Mack. Of course, the Pac-12 no longer will be at T-Mobile. Will there be any determination made at some point, or has a determination been made about Thomas and Mack or another venue beyond this upcoming spring?
We will be in Thomas and Mack this coming season.
Yep.
And we're just working on all options. And, a lot of it, there's a lot of devil in the detail and dates and calendars and formats. So still working through a lot of that.
And then finally, is it officially official? I know there's a lot of chatter about the men's basketball conference schedule. It was 18 games for a number of years. Then we learned it's going to 20. Then there was some discussion about like what the chair said about the difference between having a good non-conference schedule and not, and the back and forth. So is it official? Will the Mountain West be playing a 20-game conference schedule in men's basketball this upcoming season?
We will be playing the 20 game. That did not change, although, we have our board meeting next month, but there's no recommendation to change. So it will be 20 games. But we took a really deep dive with our athletic directors and coaches last month at the meeting, and we looked at everything. Yep. We talked about the comments. We looked at the data, and, a lot of the commentary around non-conference was statistically unfounded. We looked a lot like those other leagues. And so to your point, there's a lot of work to be done about brand and perception, and, nothing turns that ship like continuing to win. But we look at that stuff every year, and particularly after some of the comments in the media, we took an even deeper dive this year.
And of course, the Mountain West enjoying its most success ever in the sport of men's basketball. 14 tournament teams, 4 for 2 years, 6 this past year. A team, San Diego State, of course, in the national championship game 2 years ago. You were there. And of course, last year, San Diego State in the Sweet 16 in Boston as well. Commissioner, always appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you again soon. We'll be in Vegas for Mountain West Media Days coming up in early July. Thank you for taking time for San Diegans, and we look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you, and see you soon.
All right, Gloria Navarro is the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. Will react, plus prop bets on Jim's wedding next on Jon and Jim. 5 minutes, your chance to win tickets to see the Brothers Osborne. Be listening. This is a really good act. Wednesday night at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater, which is, by the way, a great venue. I always get these confused. This is the venue, Brent. Not that we necessarily have time to discuss right now. This is the one on campus. It is on campus in San Diego State. Have you ever seen this venue?
Yeah, I went there.
Oh, you did with that?
I went there for garbage.
It's a really cool venue,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
want to see
it's
something there
outdoors.
badly.
I don't know. Some people kind of, I don't know, they complain about the parking, but I didn't think it was that bad. It's
But
free.
once
And
you're
you have
in,
to
it's
walk
like
a little
pretty
bit.
intimate,
Oh, yeah.
like it's intimate, outdoor.
Oh, yeah, they got Trejo's tacos in there.
I
and-
need to see a concert there. Seriously, I really want to see
yeah, I
a
went and
concert
saw
there.
garbage in there, and that was the other
I
one.
think Neil Young was just there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Farm Aid or not Farm Aid, that's Cougar Melon Camp. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had that benefit concert with all those older guys that I almost went there with for the ELO thing.
Okay. So all right, let's get to this. Jim wedding day props, and we can listen back and see who does better. Me and you. All right. Let's just take a crack at this. Let's just say 0.5 sneezes for Jim during the ceremony. Higher or lower?
I'm gonna say over.
Okay, you're going over.
I went over. I think he's gonna fight it, but I think that at least one will
Wow.
speak out.
I'm going to go under. I'll say no Jim sneeze during the ceremony.
I think even if he just like mainlines an IV of like Claritin,
It's still gonna
it's still gonna, because according to Jim, that stuff just has no effect on him.
Now, this one's easy. We're both going to, I know what we're going to say here. Will Jim cry?
Oh yes,
He's definitely crying, and Aaron's crying. And
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're both going over there. Will Jim stumble multiple times during his vows? Now, a stumble
Have
being
you heard him do his updates?
okay. Will he stumble 3.5 times or more? More than 3.5? Is that what we want to
No.
say, or 2.5?
I'll take the under.
Under
If
on
it's 3.5, if it's 3.5, I'll go under.
I'll go-
I think unlike Jim's updates, I think he's probably been practicing so that he doesn't stumble over it for Aaron. So
I'm with you. I'm taking the under. Will the temperature at any point top 64 degrees in Oceanside on Saturday? I haven't even
just for
looked
the
at-
wedding or just in general?
Let's say
before 4 o'clock or after 4 o'clock.
let's say what's the temperature at 4 p.m. on Saturday in Oceanside at this venue, which isn't right on the water. It's a little
I'll go
inland.
with 63. It's
Okay,
supposed
you're
to be
gonna
like
go
a high
under?
of 66, so I'll say 63.
I'll go over here. I'll go over because it's a little inland on the temperature being. I'll actually put it 63.5 then on the degrees. Will Jim take allergy medication on Saturdays? An easy over.
100%.
Easy over.
He's gonna buy so much they're gonna think he's making meth. They're gonna be like, no, this is too much Sudafed. You can't have this by law.
Which alone is probably going to cause him problems. Like he's got to chill on the allergy medication on Saturday. Will John, that's me, make jokes at Jim's expense during the ceremony as the officiant?
Now jokes that's as in plural, more than one.
Take the over.
Okay, I'd say you'll make at least one.
Will Jim laugh at some point during the ceremony?
Yes, I guarantee that you guys will laugh at something that nobody else in the entire building is gonna know what the hell you guys are laughing at.
I agree. 858, will Aaron show up?
She's gonna pull a runaway bride.
Let's see what else off the text line. There are a lot of them on the text
You're
line.
like, honey, you didn't get heels for your dress. You bought sneakers. Why?
Will 913, will John enjoy kombucha while at the altar? No. 913, will Jim decide to go to McDonald's, the McDonald's route for food to save money?
I wouldn't mind that. That'd be awesome.
913, will John work in the words lone pronto during the officiating? Oh, it's very good.
He's going to have an Almond RX logo on his suit.
I love it. 619, and this is a fair point. Will someone block the camera photos with their head to replicate the Xander Bogaerts introductory press conference? Probably someone will.
Someone will at least Photoshop it to make it look like that.
Definitely, someone will. 631, will Jim kiss his wife for over or under 3 seconds?
I'll say under.
Oh, I'll take the over. I think
it'll be quick. I think it'll be quick.
Has anyone ever seen Jim kiss anyone?
Well, that's true. No, I haven't.
No. Like, does he come across as someone that's like a very passionate, like 30-second
I don't know.
kiss guy?
I think I'll be quick. I don't think they're going to sit up there and make
He doesn't
out.
do anything for more than 3 seconds because he's got to look at his phone. Will Jim look at him? Will we see him at any point on Saturday look at his phone? Got to be an over.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like Aaron's going to take it away from him.
Maybe.
And just be like, no, we're putting our phone, because they don't have to take photos because they're paying somebody to do that. So I don't know. I could see them maybe just putting their phones in like a box and just leaving it there so it's not a distraction.
Good idea. Will Jim say, wait, what? During his vows? There was a great one here, 858. How many times will Jim draw out the last word of a sentence during his vows like he does during an update? He always does. It's like, as the Padres he's like, the Padres, right? And then turning to the Padres, he always does that if you listen to his updates. Every single update, he does that long, drawn-out word as he segues to the next topic. Anything else we should hit on? Prop bet-wise for the wedding on Saturday?
I think that's pretty much all of them. If you can think of any of them, send them on the text line or YouTube chat or call in. But yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, we'll get to them on the other side. If you have more, if you've got something creative, 70470, you can start your message with the word team. Again, 70470. Start it with the word team. If you missed Mike Shildt post-game, we'll play it back for you. On the other side, Padres en route back to San Diego. They'll take on the Yankees this weekend. We'll be downtown. Naughty Barrel tomorrow, beginning at 12 with the Darren Smith Show. Then from 3 to 6, Jon and Jim. So we'll get into that series that, of course, kicks off a massive series between the Padres and the Yankees. Plus, if you missed our conversation with John Nolan, voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, you'll hear a portion of that coming up at 5:30. We'll have Brent's back page for you in the 5 o'clock hour. Hour 3 of Jon and Jim. We'll kick it off next.
This report is sponsored by the Del Mar Racetrack.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. If you missed Mike Shildt earlier, the Padres win a series in Cincinnati. They go 5-2 on the trip. We'll play back a portion of his post-game conversation with the media coming up in the next 20 minutes or so. Brent's back page is ahead. Also, John Nolan, voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, joined us earlier. If you missed it, we'll have some of that for you coming up this hour as well. Brent mentioned the fact that we are keeping an eye on NBA postseason, Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Pacers and Celtics about to get underway. And, of course, we're reacting to everything that's going to happen over the next couple of days downtown. We'll be downtown tomorrow. I'll be joined by the coach, John Quintero, with Jim out. And we'll have Padres and Yankees, which is always a big deal. I mean, it's just big because it's the New York Yankees.
I was just going to ask you, the Yankees are up there with the Doyers for like one of the biggest fan bases in all of baseball.
Sure.
How many Yankee fans do you think we're going to see?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I don't know what the weather's like in New York, but I'm sure it's not as nice as it is here.
Yeah, I mean, it is Memorial Day weekend. I mean, typically by this time of year, you have warmer weather out east. So I'm sure it'll be nice here, right? In the 60s this weekend.
They had a high of 81 today. It was actually awesome.
It's that time of year. But I would imagine a lot. I think it's going to be a really good atmosphere. I mean, everything about it. The Padres just draw. I mean, even if they were playing the Marlins this weekend, the Marlins are the next team coming in, right? It's Yankees, then Marlins. I mean, if you flip-flop the series, it was Marlins Friday through Sunday and Yankees Monday through Wednesday. The crowds this weekend would be massive, but it's going to feel different, I would say, this weekend. There's a couple of reasons as to why. So you have a Padres team that's coming off a 5-2 trip. You have a Yankees team that's 35-17, and they're always relevant. I mean, you either love them or you hate them. They're always relevant, right? They're the New York Yankees. But, of course, reason number one that this is a bigger series than a normal series, even if it is the Yankees, is Juan Soto. Now, I don't think it's as big if you have a couple of teams that aren't playing good baseball or one's really good and one's really bad. Now, Padres aren't the Yankees right now. They're a game over 500. When you put it in the context or perspective of what that means, they're having a fine year. You could be playing better. They absolutely could be playing worse. The National League is not as good as the American League. If the season was over, the Padres are a playoff team by a game or two. The Yankees, at the onset of any season, their goal is to win a World Series. I mean, with Yankees fans, it's either you win the World Series or arguably you didn't have a good year, and they're 35-17. But the dynamic of Soto coming here, like I can close my eyes and remember how it all went down. That massive blockbuster landmark trade that AJ Preller pulled off in the late summer of 2022. And at that moment, you were thinking also World Series or bust for the Padres, weren't you? With Juan Soto in a Padres uniform, you thought that we have three opportunities. In fact, Preller said it that day. We pulled the trigger on this deal because how many times in life do you have three chances to be in the postseason? They were in the postseason with Juan Soto one time. 2022. Missed it in 2023, right? Basically falling flat in 2023. Completely missing the mark for whatever reason. That's a whole other conversation. And then, of course, they traded him away in the offseason between 2023 and 2024. So, like, when you think about how you felt when they made that deal in the summer of 2022, when the team is 15 games over 500, and maybe with Juan Soto, you're thinking about winning the World Series, and then they beat the LA Dodgers in the postseason after the epic Mets series, and you beat the Dodgers, you're like, why not the Padres? Like, there was really nothing not working in the Padres' favor to the point that they hosted the National League Championship Series. They had home field advantage in that series. I mean, they were that close to getting to a World Series for the first time since 1998. They were that close, so to speak, to winning the first World Series in franchise history, and then it didn't go their way. And then 2023 completely didn't go their way. And now here we are, kind of crossing in the, I don't even know what to say. You got the Yankees and Soto on one side, and you have this new look Padres team on the other. And who would have envisioned that when the trade was made August 1st or whenever it was, the final day of July in 2022? So when you put it all in perspective, it's unique and it's interesting. That's what it is. It's going to be a unique weekend downtown at Petco Park when the Padres meet the Yankees. Do they have to win the series? Of course not. Is it of course, none of it is a have to at this time of year, but good opportunity against a good team, and the Padres have struggled at home. This is a good opportunity to turn their home luck around this weekend against the New York Yankees. You're looking forward to it, right, Brett?
Well, yeah, it's the Yankees are in town, and it's going to be something that's become more of a regular occurrence now because of the new scheduling thing that they're doing now.
Yeah,
with the
universal
balanced schedule or whatever they're calling it. But that might be one of those things where you might not play the Yankees for 3 or 4 years because they don't really cycle through, like NFL, you cycle through the division. So like every 3 years, you're going to play the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. They don't really do that in baseball to where, oh, okay, this year you guys are going to play, the AL West. And then next year it's going to be the AL East. They don't really do that. So like I said, you might have, 5 years or so where you don't play the Yankees. And, everyone loves to hate the Yankees. They're, one of the biggest franchises in all of baseball. So it's always a big deal when they come to town, I think.
And then
that there's a reason why, whenever they do ticket prices,
Mhm.
everybody always says, "Oh yeah, you can come watch the Marlins for this," but the Yankees, that's a marquee game.
Right, it's the premium ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember we had the conversation earlier this year? Who was it? Cameron Maben, that was like, well, I see why Juan Soto's hitting in New York. The way Yankee fans treat him is different than the way he was treated in San Diego. They expect more, therefore they're getting more. We took crazy exception to it, and I still do. This whole idea, we talked earlier, like, is Juan Soto going to get booed? It doesn't. I'm sure he will, and I'm sure he'll get cheered, and I'm sure you'll hear a variety of things related to Juan Soto over the next 72 hours or so. But guess what? If he doesn't get absurdly booed, that doesn't take away from Padres fans. And just because what happens in the Bronx doesn't happen at Petco Park, I will die on this hill that I've talked about throughout the course of this month. The Padres fan base is an outstanding fan base. It's one of the better ones in baseball. That's not to say the Yankees don't have a good fan base. They obviously and clearly do. But the Padres and their fans have proven year in and year out here, certainly this decade, that this franchise is on a level that they've never previously really been on for a long period of time. Of course, they've had good runs. There's been the mid 80s and there's been the late 90s. But when you consider the dynamic of San Diego right now, without the National Football League, with the spending prowess of Peter Seidler previously, there's so much attention on the Padres. And you could argue whether they've deserved it at times over the last couple of years. They win half their games last year. They play in front of 3 million fans. This year, they've won half their games. They're selling out basically each and every night. Padres fans have been incredible. Juan Soto didn't, quote unquote, not perform, whatever that even means, last year because of the fan base. And Juan Soto is not hitting or a front runner for American League MVP this year because of the bleachers, right? And right, everything going on in the Bronx this year. That's way too simplistic, and it's very naive. And to take anything away from Padres fans, considering how good they've been, means you're really not paying attention, in my opinion.
Well, the attendance figures don't lie. Was number 2 this year in attendance. They set the attendance record last year, and it's not like that one other team that used to be here when they might sell out, but it's going to be 60%, the visiting team. So, I think they deserve credit, especially since I remember when I moved here, 8 or 9 years ago, you'd be lucky if there was, 10 or 11,000 people there on a Wednesday night to play Oakland or somebody like that. And now, if Oakland or, some other team that's not very good comes in, they still sell out. And, it's even on nights when it's not, insert here bobblehead day or anything else, they're still showing up.
Yeah, I just think I don't know if lazy is the right word. I don't think it probably is, but it feels like misguided to be critical of Padres fans or equate a player's success to like a fan base. Like, you might say, hey, this player's better suited for New York. You could say something like that. And I'm not even using Juan Soto as an example, but you could say that, hey, Juan Soto, he wants to play in the East, wants to play in the biggest market in baseball. He's better suited for New York. But to say, well, Yankees fans are better and here's why, that to me is misguided.
Look, I can see if he has a manager or something that's maybe kind of a hard ass that would maybe motivate him, but I can't see him going out there and going, oh God, you hear how hard they booed me today? That's really going to have an impact. I don't think that bothers him.
Yeah, I could see that.
At least not enough that he's going to be motivated by it. Like,
right.
If it was coming from a manager or coach, I could see that, but just coming from the crowd, he's been in the majors for a long time.
Yep.
He knows that, if I go 0 for 4 today, they're going to boo me out of the stadium or out of the ballpark. And, I'm just going to be awful. And then tomorrow I'll come out and I'll go 2 for 3 with a home run and like 3 RBIs, and I'll be God again.
Sure. The other conversation we had earlier, because the Padres win the series in Cincinnati and Luis Arraez has had back-to-back 4-hit games. He's putting up these absurdly gaudy numbers right now in his first 17 games as a San Diego Padre, you have to be so careful, obviously, when you consider Padres history, to compare anyone to Tony Gwynn. Like, that's completely fair and reasonable not to make comps to Tony Gwynn, not just Padres history, almost like baseball history. This guy is like a one-of-one modern-day hitter. 338 for his career, Tony Gwynn. All of his career at one stop here in San Diego. I mean, he is Mr. Padre, right, for a reason, with a statue outside Petco Park. Basically did everything you could possibly envision, multiple World Series, did everything but win a World Series here in San Diego. But I'm telling you, man, and I'm not saying Luis Arraez is Tony Gwynn, but this guy is such a joy to watch, and he's a modern-day example of a player that has similar characteristics to Tony. And he really is, because he uses all the fields. He's amazing in terms of bat on ball, and he doesn't strike out a lot. I think he struck out 2 times maybe as a Padre, and he's riding this ridiculous streak right now where he's had 8 consecutive multi-hit games. There's only one Padre ever, it's not Tony Gwynn, to have a longer multi-hit streak. It's Gary Sheffield back in 1992. So we knew the Luis Arraez trade was impactful, and we knew he was a batting champion with the Twins and a batting champion with the Marlins. But sometimes you think about the Padres like, oh, we can't have nice things. Listen, we never said this was the Adam Frazier trade, but there were people that did say this is the Adam Frazier trade, or, oh, you're overpaying in today's baseball. Singles aren't as important as they were in 1987. This guy has hit over 400. He has led to wins, including today for the Padres, yesterday as well for the Padres. And he's just on this unbelievable offensive tear. And I know he's done it previously in his career, and he's got gaudy offensive numbers. And you just watch the way he's able to like maneuver his bat. It's special. It's different than the other way players hit in the major leagues. And it's been a joy to watch. And I wouldn't rule out the possibility of him winning a batting title this year. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. But if you've watched him in a Padres uniform, this guy looks like far and away the best hitter in baseball. Like, that's how good he's been over this 17-game stretch.
Well, if I had to put money down on a Padre, and, we brought it up, Jurickson's hitting the leather off the ball too, but I think at the end of the year, I think Arraez is more likely, just because he's done it before, to be in like the top of the list opposed to Jurickson. And, I know text line likes to get mad about he's never going to cool off ever. He's probably going to cool off at some point, enough that I think he'll take him out of the batting title race. But, dude, Arraez he's just like a hitting machine, man.
He is a hitting
it's just unreal
machine. I mean, I think we said earlier this month, maybe when they acquired Arraez, the last Padre to hit 300 for a season was Brian Giles, which was 16 years ago, something like that, maybe more, 2006, 18 years ago. I mean, it's been a long, long time. You'd have to go back to 2008. So 16 years ago. And here's Luis Arraez, who actually, when he was traded, was hitting 299. He's up to 341 on the year. He's hit 419 as a Padre. And this, I said this earlier. Again, sometimes you can maneuver statistics in any manner in which you choose, right? And they don't always tell the full story. And I'm not saying this one tells the full story, but consider this. 8 consecutive multi-hit games, 21 hits in that stretch. Tony Gwynn never had a multi-hit streak longer than 8 games in his career. He did it one time. And never had any 8-game stretch in his career with more than 20 hits. Arraez is at 21 in his last 8 games. It just puts in perspective how special it's been and what he's doing right now for the Padres. So, again, to do it over 162 is not to do it over 17, and to do it over 8 isn't there's a lot of baseball, obviously, to be played, but it's amazing. It is unbelievable. I knew he was good. We saw him day one in a Padres uniform. He had 4 hits. Then he's been very solid. Now, these last 8 games, he's been unbelievable as well. I mean, it's just been an absolute joy to watch.
It's one of those things where, we've traded for players before that we're like, oh, yeah, they're good players, and then they get here and it's like
not as good. They don't,
that's the same guy, right?
Right.
And
That's what people said about Soto.
Well, that's my point is this is, and I kind of touched on this yesterday, but this is like one of the first trades where we traded for the dude. He showed up and he's just performed right off the bat. There hasn't been any, oh God, he went 0 for 6. What is this? We gave up so-and-so for this guy. There's been none of that. Everyone's just been ecstatic with him.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Juan Soto, when he got here in 2022, and again, I think some of the criticism levied towards Soto has been unfair. I've spoken on that before. But this is fair. When he was traded to the Padres in 2022, I mean, this is still crazy to think about. In 52 games, he hit 236. Now, he got on base at a 388 clip somehow, so he walked a zillion times. He had an OPS under 800 for a guy that was like 970 for his career at the time. So he wasn't the same player. I think he still had moments for the Padres, but he wasn't the same player. Then, to your point, other times they've made trades and they've worked out very well. We'll see about Dylan Cease, but it's gone well. Joe Musgrove obviously was a brilliant trade. Yu Darvish has played a very significant role. And then there's a trade like Mike Clevenger, and he gets banged up. And you could go both ways with it, obviously. And you're not going to win every single trade, but to get a player that's elite and then get the most out of an elite player is something that is kind of rare when it comes to the Padres here in recent history.
I think the difference between the Cease trade and the Arraez one is, what did we hear when they picked up Cease? Oh, did you see his ERA like last year or 2 years ago? He's awful. This guy is?
He's got a 5 ERA last year.
Yeah, exactly. He's no ace. He's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 2-3 starts, then everyone kind of started to be like, oh, this guy's pretty good. So I think that's the difference, just because, like I said, as soon as we got Arraez, it's just been nothing but positive.
Is it a fit thing? Like Soto was in the East. He had never been traded. He was young. Arraez has been traded multiple times, goes from Miami, where it's friends and family every single night, to San Diego.
It might be to a certain extent, just because, like you said, he's been traded a couple times.
Now. He's 27.
But, he's not at the status of what Juan Soto is. If you're putting players into like tiers and stuff like that, you wouldn't put them in the same tier. I think Arraez would be like a tier below or something, but Soto's a superstar. Arraez is a star, and I think he's, his star is getting bigger with every game, but you can go into any, Major League Baseball town in the country and name drop Juan Soto, and they know exactly who you're talking about. I think half the towns would know who Arraez is, but if he gets another batting title, I think that's going to change.
Well, it's like, what did the old ad campaign say? And this isn't necessarily Soto, but the chicks dig the long ball type campaign. Arraez isn't that
Mark
guy.
McGwire, yeah.
And by the way, Soto's not necessarily that guy. It's like chicks dig the walks, right? I mean, he's the guy that he gets on base at a historically good clip. Soto's Luis Arraez. He hits at a historically good clip. Now, and Arraez is right in his prime. So it's interesting. Fit does matter. Yeah, I mean, fit matters. We talk about this sometimes, like with the radio show. Like, I might have an amazing relationship with Jim off air, and then on air, it's not a good relationship, or vice versa. Fit does matter. What do you got?
Real quick off the text line. This might be my favorite text of the day. Instead of I do, Jim will say achoo.
100%. That's coming. He will. Well, he'll sneeze. If it's not during the ceremony, it'll be during the wedding, the reception. He will. Well,
the reception's fine. I think it's fine. If he does it during the reception, I think he'll just get pissed if he does it during the ceremony.
I think you're probably right. All right. On the other side, if you missed it, John Nolan, voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. What's the latest on Ethan Salas and Dylan Lesko? What does he think about the play of Jackson Merrill? Remember, Merrill last year started in single A Fort Wayne, and now he's a starter and a regular and a contributor on this Padres team. So John Nolan, voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, on the other side. Also, Brent's back page is still ahead as well. We're with you until 6 p.m. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim.